Well, good morning, everyone. I'm John Wuest, president of the St. Louis Equity Fund. We're all happy you're here today. We're going to see some interesting properties, I think, a pretty good cross-section of properties that have received low-income housing tax credits and also, in some cases, historic credits. So we're happy to have you, and we hope we have a good tour. Sorry about the weather. Not much we can do about that, but so welcome aboard. I should probably explain for those of you who don't know it. In the late 1800s, the city of St. Louis was probably the third largest city in the country, and they decided that they didn't need all of the ground that they had out in the county to take care of it, and so they seceded from St. Louis County. And it's really served to its detriment over the years because we've not been able to expand. They've been locked in on all three of their borders, and it turned out to be kind of a disaster. Coming up on the right of the bus will be the first project we're really going to talk a little bit about. This is the site of an old public housing project known as Darst-Webbe, which was demolished, and this is part of the Hope 6 program. The first buildings you see here is a second phase, Old Frenchtown, and then as we move up King Louis Square, it's been very, very successful integration of market rate and tax credit units. We're going to come up to an area shortly that we don't have any direct investment in, but it's an area known as Lafayette Square, and it's a very historical part of St. Louis, probably the first highly affluent area in St. Louis. And there was a tremendous tornado that blew through St. Louis in 1898 and literally destroyed this whole area, including the park, which is in the middle. You'll see Lafayette Square, and it began a migration more westward, and although it still stayed and was rebuilt, and fell into tremendous disrepair in the late 50s, 60s, and then really was one of the first areas that began the rehab phenomenon that started in all cities, I guess, across the country in the 70s, and really has turned into a very viable and very highly desirable area to live, and also relatively expensive. We're going west now and really moving through kind of the midtown section of St. Louis, and the building we're going to look at is Park Avenue Apartments, which is two buildings that were rehabbed, and they're, again, all historic credits, market rate apartments. It's been fairly successful. We're running about 90% occupied at this point in time. This area here is known as the Delmar Loop or University City Loop, and as you'll see, it's a very viable retail place, a very favorite place of the younger crowd to hang out. And the first two buildings on the right are PARKVIEW Gardens 1 and 2. This is 100% affordable housing that we invested in with a not-for-profit partner who has been a good partner, and the buildings have been successful. They've, you know, from time to time experienced a little vacancy, but for the most part have been kept pretty occupied. We're going to be kind of going north now and through North St. Louis to an inner ring suburb called HILLSDALE, which we've done a lot of work in. And as you stay at these things, you can really begin to make some impact on individual neighborhoods. But the north side of the city really has experienced over the years a tremendous amount of disinvestment, and is just beginning now to start seeing some signs of coming back. The homes coming up here on your left are some of them that we've done. They're 3-bedroom homes, typically 1.5 baths. The rents would be somewhere around $550 a month. The owner can transition into home ownership after the period of time by accumulating phantom equity for the amount of years they live there. In other words, if they would live there successfully for 15 years, the mortgage payment would probably be less than the rent that they're paying. These buildings coming up on the right are a couple of the older Mock and Wayne, older projects that we've done and continue to be involved in from a tax credit standpoint. All affordable, relatively successful. We've had some bumps. This project, one of them that we're particularly proud of. It's called ROSATI House. Among other things, it's got its green certification. And what this does is it takes chronically homeless people, it gets them off the street, gets them into rehab, and brings them through a series of successive phases to the point where what we've invested in, the 26 apartment units, they actually move into an apartment, sign a lease, and by that time they have employment. and they go to work every day, but they still come back to this group setting, and there's still some monitoring that goes on to make sure that they kind of stay on the program that they've been placed on. But it really is an innovative model, and one that, as I say, they're looking to replicate in other parts of the country. It is a very good program, and we're very delighted to be associated with it. This next neighborhood that we're going to go into is known as Salisbury Park or Hyde Park, and so far there's been about 60 units built, and then we've just approved another, I think 18 more or 20 more units. The first phase has been in existence for about 5 years now, and I think about 60% of the tenants have been there all 5 years, and I think they're going to have 50% of these people that'll have been successfully living there for 15 years. This is another project that we're really kind of proud of. Up on the left here, you can see it's an old St. Louis public school. Beautiful, beautiful building. Had fell into obviously disrepair and was abandoned, and was purchased from the St. Louis Public Schools, and it was turned into a 75 elderly, 100% affordable apartments. Beautiful apartments inside, and leased up within 2 weeks, I think. When we had our opening, one of the tenants came up to me with tears in her eyes, and she said, I went to grade school in this building, and I'm living here. So it's kind of a great story. And then the final project is the Railton that we're going to come to, and we're actually going to get out there and stretch our legs and take a tour. Another one that we're really proud of, and our partner there is the Salvation Army. It was an old hotel. The city is very excited about it. It's going to provide some housing for service workers downtown. I mean, we're really in close proximity to downtown, and you'll be blown away by it. I mean, it's just a beautiful project. It has an exercise room and a computer lab in the public spaces, and there's a bunch of meeting rooms and that down here that will be available to the residents. There's a great neon sign on it. I mean, it's a real local landmark, and it had also failed, but we've restored that too. And at night, it really lights up, and it's got the great Army shield on it.
Oh, that's
you know.
good.
So. Is everybody ready to get up back on the bus? I'm getting hungry. I don't know about anybody else, but you know.